Easy peasy.
Let's talk about Virginia Beach Jaycees. You are a leadership development organization whose mission is to create development opportunities to empower young people, to give people a chance to plug into their community, create a positive change, and then you raise funds as a part of another organization to be tax compliant and to make sure that all those funds go back to the community.
Right.
Correct.
And of course, one of the most signature community projects that you own and produce by Jaycees is the infamous, the historic, the legendary East Coast Surf Championship,
Yep.
commonly known as ECSC. Today on the show, we're going to be exploring this amazing charity work, its initiatives, and the incredible team of volunteers behind Jaycees. I'm so excited to dive in. Welcome to Discover Virginia, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the incredible people, businesses, and stories that shape the Hampton Roads and Virginia community. Each episode, we sit down with local entrepreneurs, creatives, and change makers who are redefining what it means to live, work, and also play in this region. Now, let's explore, connect, and discover Virginia. Today on the show, we are joined by Lisa Agosto, Executive Assistant with Upward Spiral Management, VB, and Jaycees Charities President, as well as some treasury here and there, and Sean Brady, the Virginia Beach Jaycees Chapter President. Guys, welcome to Discover Virginia podcast.
Thanks
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. All right, so it's no secret. Your ECSC annual event, which just so happens to be the longest running in Virginia Beach history, is coming up.
It's not even just the longest running in Virginia Beach. It's the longest running, continuously running surf contest in the world.
Yeah.
We earned that title during the whole COVID event, which I'm sure we all remember, but we love that title, that we have that for Virginia Beach.
Absolutely. And you also do that, but also several other local initiatives as well that we'd love to spotlight here on the show today. Sure. Tell me first, though, how did you guys initially get plugged in with Virginia Beach Jaycees? Lisa, we'll start with you.
Okay. So, yeah, at the time I was still married. I had moved here to Virginia Beach area with my husband, who was active Army. And I was originally, from East Texas, middle of nowhere. But
what part of East Texas?
A little town called Tyler.
Tyler,
It's middle of nowhere, halfway between.
Longview, Texas family over here.
Oh, yep.
Yeah,
You definitely know Tyler. Absolutely. But yeah, I was raised by a single mom who really instilled the belief and the thought of volunteerism. And while I was in school, I had to do a project for an event. And so through that project, I found out about the Virginia Beach Jaycees. When I found out what they did, that really, for me, kind of touched that special part of my heart where the volunteerism that I'd grown up loving and appreciating. And that was, for me, the big thing that really drew me to the chapter. And just the community, the friends, the kind of family by choice that I built with the Jaycees was one of the big reasons that I've stayed involved over the years.
That's so cool. Sean, what about for you?
So I started out actually in 2008. I was actually involved with the primary school chapter up in Newport News. And I was there for a while. And then I had a couple of friends that told me to go join Virginia Beach because I kind of overstayed my welcome up there. I aged out up there. I was always an alumni. So I fell in love with Virginia Beach. One of my first events when I was regional director back in 2012 was the Christmas shopping tour. And I loved it, just helping out kids in the community, just letting them shop for the family. And then, I always knew Virginia Beach was there. And one of the things is, I drive to Newport News every day, but I live in Virginia Beach. I'm like, why did I not join Virginia Beach sooner? And I'm like, wait, it's closer. I can actually, it took me 30 minutes compared to an hour and a half to get here today. And I'm like, this is great. And our chapter meetings only takes me 10 minutes to get there. I'm excited about that. Don't have to worry about staying in the car so long. But I just love helping out the community. One of the reasons why I joined is because I've always been in the church and stuff and always giving back to people. And I saw the creed, one of the lines in the creed is just giving back, helping the humanity side of it. And just Christmas shopping tour, that was one of my favorite things. And then all the other stuff that Virginia Beach does, I'm like, oh, wow, they do so much in the community. ECSC, I've helped volunteer with that for a couple of years. And then after I joined, I'm like, okay, I've been doing all the stuff and to see how it is, and like all the other events we do is amazing.
Yeah, that's really cool. So started out in the what was the program called?
It's the apprentice school.
Okay, gotcha. Over at Newport News,
Yes.
and that's how you got plugged in with
Yep.
Virginia Beach Jaycees, and the rest is history.
Oh yeah.
Very, very cool. Well, I really appreciate you sharing that, and also the heart behind the mission and the work as well, which is so admirable. Especially too considering everything that you guys raise as far as fundraising gets put right back into the community, and you're here locally as well.
Right.
I'm curious, do you guys have a certain memory of youth that you've either served now or maybe have phased out, right? That you look back on as kind of like something you look back fondly on as far as the experience of helping someone through the Virginia Beach Jaycees.
I do, and I'm really going to hope I can get through it without getting too emotional about it. But yeah, ECSC is our big kind of flagship project. It's the one that really a lot of our members join because of ECSC. Like, that's how they get introduced to us. But the chapter project that really is the reason why people stay with the Jaycees is the Christmas shopping tour. Yeah. And I think it was my first Christmas shopping tour, so 2018. And we were working with a group that the kids were different levels of special needs, maybe on the spectrum, maybe had physical or mental issues, whatever. It wasn't just one set kind of group like some organizations are. And with the Christmas shopping tour, one of the big parts is that we take those kids Christmas shopping for their families, which in and of itself can be really fun, kind of helping the kids learn that, to give is better than to receive. But that year I got paired with a nonverbal little boy who was about 5. So his mom came with us. And it really kind of touched, again, a place in my heart because I have family members that are part of that community, not necessarily with any physical, any physical issues, but, not necessarily, they kind of were in school, they were in the special education classes, things like that. They had developmental delays. And so working with kids like that has always been something near and dear to me. And so getting paired with this little boy, I loved it. His mom went shopping with us to kind of help us pick the presents for everybody. And after we do the Christmas shopping, we do take the kids someplace where they get to be kids. They get to play. And this particular year was at a bounce place that had like a bunch of different bounce houses. And the little boy went straight to the one that was for like 2 and 3-year-olds. And he just kind of crawled in and he was just kind of playing by himself. And his mom was standing to the side. And I was not a 2 or 3-year-old, but I will, as any chapter member will tell you, I'm not going to let that stand in my way of doing something. So I crawled right in there and I sat with him. And he just sat on my lap and he was just kind of patty caking with my hands and stuff like that. Here we go. Okay. But his mom stayed standing outside, and seeing the mom get to watch her kid, as other parents do, and not having to spend that time being worried or concerned about her child or like having to be a helicopter parent, getting her chance to just watch her kid be a kid, for me was one of the big memories, that will stay with me always.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. It sounds like a very special memory.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, not much. Now I got to follow up with that. Thanks, Lisa.
You're welcome.
So I'm gonna kind of break it off into 2. So one is Christmas shopping tour. I was actually at the same one Lisa was at, but like we did, and that was a fun time at the bounce house. We did one like 2 years ago though, and it was kids with special needs too. And the person that I had 2 sisters. One was special needs. The other one was helping her out. At the end of it, like we were shopping, the mom came up to me when we were at the party, and she's like, "Thank you so much. I never felt more safe with somebody watching the kid, and just being able to be able to shop for the families." I'm like, that just blew me away. It was amazing. And then one of the aspects is calling yourself out as a JC, like building yourself up, building through leadership. I just remember one time when I joined Virginia Beach, I was just there. I was like, okay, cool. I got another chapter. I don't want to do anything else. Somebody, when we were getting elected, called my name out to be a membership director. And I was just like, I don't know if he was joking at that point, but I was like, you know what? Let me do it. And I wound it up. That was the greatest thing ever. I wound it up because I was scared of being a membership person. And through that, I actually wound up being the state president of the whole Virginia.
Wow.
And actually winning one of the top state presidents in the whole country. So it's just like the leadership aspect of calling yourself out and actually growing.
Shout out to Tony.
Shout out to Tony Polino for doing that, because he's the one that called me out, and I'm going to get him back one day.
I'm curious, what was the process of overcoming that fear like?
I just had a lot of drama in my life, just a failed marriage, and just actually coming out of that and coming out of my shelf and actually saying that get out of the funk I was in.
Yeah.
And actually just coming out of it.
Building the self-confidence.
Yeah, building the self-confidence was key, and just being able to do it. Even today, I'm really bad at public speaking, but being out here right now is
you're doing
this is
great. You're doing great, Sean. Aside from how you spell your name, but we don't have to mention all that.
The right way.
Shots fired.
How does the work of the Virginia Beach Jaycees, from developing young leaders to producing major community projects, connect to the larger mission of the other chamber you're part of, the Junior Chamber International, to empower young people to create positive change around the world, not just here in Virginia Beach?
So I will say my observations, my experience is kind of starting at that local level. Our chapter helps you learn and develop those leadership skills. And we do it specifically in our chapter through those volunteer opportunities, through our projects. So through ECSC, through Christmas shopping tour, through our other events like the Barbecue for the Brave and things like that, you can learn these professional and personal development skills. And once you've developed those skills, you start to notice that you've got that self-confidence to really maybe chair your own event. And that can lead to you creating, if you have something that's near and dear to your heart. So a few years ago, for me, I wanted us to get involved in the Relay for Life, raising funds for fighting cancer. And leading that event, using the skills that I learned through the Jaycees, helped us kind of develop that relationship with the local organization and kind of make a difference in our community through something that meant something to me. And every JC has that same opportunity. You learn those skills, you learn that leadership, what goes into starting a project, what things you may not think about that you need to consider, be it something budgetary or the organizations that you can team together with when it comes to the city, knowing where to go for permitting and things like that. Those little things you learn through these projects help you develop yourself and make that impact in the community, make that change, be the change that you want to see, to kind of paraphrase.
Absolutely. Follow up to that, how does the Jaycees charity decide which community needs, organizations, or initiatives to support? Because it seems like there's kind of need everywhere. There was a broken world.
Right. No, absolutely. So the VBJC's Charities is a sister organization to the Virginia Beach Jaycees. And one of our big stipulations with our board of directors is it has to be a majority of active chapter members, because the funds that we have as our organization is really funds raised by the chapter members. And so we don't just as a board decide, we're making sure that the Jaycees are telling us what they would like to see those funds do. Yeah. So they're the ones deciding it kind of at the end of the day, these are the things that we'd like to see these funds go towards, these organizations, these events, these impactful projects, or fundraising, whatever it might be. It's the chapter members telling us.
Yeah, that's really cool. That collaborative effort too. You're not just making a decision without being informed about what the needs are of both the members and what the community needs are.
Precisely. Yeah. And we're kind of, I think another great way of putting it is big sister or the older sibling, so
Yeah.
that we do have members of our board that have maybe aged out or maybe have never been a JC, but they're members of the community that can provide the kind of knowledge, lifetime experiences to make sure that the chapter members are thinking long term about those finances, that they're not just making a quick snap decision. Oh, well, this needs immediate, let's just do that. Well, let's hold on, let's make sure we've considered other ways to do it, so that, you know, everything's kind of thought out and
Yeah.
and the funds are taken care of and the organization is able to sustain long term.
Sean, I'm curious, because you have it on your shirt as well, but you mentioned this earlier too. I'm curious, what system do you work through as an institution, as an organization, to preserve the knowledge and the leadership traits that are needed? Because this is like, you know, there are good people, right? And there are people who kind of need to see a little bit of that goodness being put into their life before they can give it out, right? Or at least that's how I see it. Yeah. What does that knowledge and leadership look like, and how does that role change over time through the different generations of volunteers that you work with?
Wow, that's a good question. So, like, for us with our chapter, we have a lot of experienced people. So we use that. We realize what was in the past, but we adapt it to today.
Yeah.
Like, we have one of our members who I asked to join, one of our old senators. So we have senators that are people that usually have aged out, but are somebody that's given so much significance to the chapter or the state that they've helped us out. Like Lisa is one too. And so, like, one of the things is this year I actually employed one of them on my chapter board who's been for the Jaycees forever. So he helps me with that. I also have, like, different generations on the board. Like, we have some people in our 20s that are there. I'm closer to the 40, but I have, like, one or two, like, my age. But we got so many different generation gaps. Like, we have so many different people with experiences that we blend that all together, trying to help, like, just with the community. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, that's so important too, because, like, depending on the volunteers and the worldview they may have, I think that certain initiatives may become more pressing than others, right? So being able to balance that from a team perspective I'm sure, be very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to touch on, we do have a segment coming up where we're going to talk all about ECSC. I want to just kind of graze still past that today's conversation, though, too, because the work that you do is fundamental. So from what I understand, I'm kind of reading this from the history archives here. So local surfers originally approached the Jaycees in 1963 because they needed help with the business and organizational side of producing a surf contest. Who knew it would blow up to something so incredible and amazing today? But
We did.
yeah, right. Your vision that you cast. Lisa, for you, what does that origin story tell us about the role the Jaycees always had played in Virginia Beach and helping it connect with its community?
So actually, not just ECSC related, but it really can kind of tie in with that. I think both with the ECSCs starting here, like you said, we did start it here in Virginia Beach in 1963. The very first one was actually up in New York, but the surfers, most of the winners were Virginia Beach surfers. You know, just go.
Yeah,
But
just a subtle nod to
right,
Virginia Beach surfers.
right.
Yeah,
But they knew the Virginia Beach Jaycees, and the kind of the community just knew the leadership development and what they brought to the community. But at the same time, a completely different thing that a Virginia Beach Jaycees were integral to was like the Virginia Beach Rescue Squad. We had one of our former members from the late 40s, early 50s. He saw a need. He said, "We don't have emergency rescue out here.
yeah.
Like, how can we make a difference? How can we improve that?" So he and some other JCs all worked together, worked with other rescue squads around the state, and they built it from scratch. I think both of these show in different ways that the JCs can help you go, okay, you know what? This is where I see a problem. How can I fix that problem? And like I said, it's two different ways. The surfers wanted to bring a competition. Some of our members happened to be surfers. So, they were like, okay, well, yeah, let's touch base with them. Okay, we can do X, Y, Z. And that was 63. 1951, 52. It was, we don't have adequate first responders in this Virginia Beach area. How do I fix that problem? Okay, let's do X, Y, Z. So it's, again, I think they're two different examples, but both great examples of how the Jaycees can help you recognize a problem that needs to be solved and then know the skills and the processes to solve the problem.
Yeah. Wow. What an incredible testament to the history of the organization as well. Sean, if you wouldn't, I'd love to know, how has the Virginia Beach Jaycees helped evolve the ECSC championship from its inception to now, modern day? Because I understand there's been some challenges, there's been some opportunities for growth. Walk me through some of those highlights, some of those hallmark moments.
So I know in the trying to think in the beginning, I will say ECSC is it's actually worldwide. So just letting you know, we had actually a national president wanting to come last year. We actually had the national president USA and 3 national presidents come last year too.
Yeah.
So
who knew surfing was a national thing, not just a Virginia Beach thing, right?
we were actually on a JC question answer this year, ECSC, and I was like, oh, that's cool. But question how we adapted, one of the things, I don't believe in the beginning we had concerts like we did now, a couple years ago we had Third Eye Blind here, we had The Offspring, and just building that part up, and the past couple of years we've actually been doing a couple 5Ks in the morning, so just being able to add that. But one of the things I was so impressed with this year is we are doing, and you'll hear it later too, is the Adapt Beach Day, and just being able to help, I think it's help kids that can't surf, help them adapt to it, be able to surf. If I might be right, might be wrong, but just helping out the kids and just doing that initial initiative, and just all the different things we do with ECSC.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really grown a lot. Back in 1963, it was what it's always been at its core, a surf championship. But as the event has grown over these this will be the 64th year, at least for it being in Virginia Beach, the Jaycees have seen, and looked for ways that we can really bring in more of the community and really make it that community event that we'd like it to be. And obviously, as the city grows, as the population and the demographics change, what that means, what that entails, changes with it. So we started out with just surf, but over the years we've added in 5Ks, skate, BMX,
a beauty contest.
The bikini contest, bikini beauty pageant. Sorry, has been around for most of the length of ECSC as well. But also bringing in the beach volleyball tournament. We, in the last few years, added sand lacrosse. This year, we're bringing back the beach flag football. But the Adaptive Beach Day is one that was really, it is one of the newer additions, and it's one that's been really near and dear to this year's chairwoman's heart. She was the one that just was kind of I think this is a great opportunity that we haven't recognized. And it's had really great reception by the community and everything. And it really is allowing us to bring in one more part of our community to the event. And we're always looking for ways to do that. How else can we make this event appeal to and really represent more of our community?
Yeah.
So it's grown exponentially.
That's so cool too, because it not only, I'm sure, has a rewarding factor for the volunteers and the participation, but also the inclusion as well, creating the different activations, right? And I'm sure Virginia Beach has had an ongoing relationship with the Virginia Beach Jaycees to some extent about the different activations for the marketing, for the tourism, that has tremendously benefited both sides of the equation for the partnership there.
Absolutely.
I'm curious, how has the city conversation been and responded to these types of events, and what sort of maybe collaborative conversations or opportunities have presented themselves throughout the years from, the surf championship to also the concerts and just making it more inclusive for all types of kids,
Right. It's really, especially in the last few years, we've had just so much more. I'm trying to think of the right way to say it, but the partnership with the city has always been great. They've been a huge support, but over the last few years, that we've really been even more. The partnership has just been even better, and they've really been there for us, really supporting us the last few years, and it's been so great for the event, but so great for the Jaycees and for the city. I mean, even just within the last few years, a couple years ago, we had a third-party gentleman kind of run through all of the numbers and everything and found that our event is in turn giving back to the city exponentially.
Yeah.
Because it was 2024, and we had them go through, how many people attended and
Sure.
and how much money was being spent by
Throwing
these
a party
people.
in Virginia Beach. You want to know who's
Right?
coming?
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And he estimated that our economic impact for the 2024 year, and we're talking just 1 week,
Sure.
was approximately $24 million.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's it has been kind of the record up until I think 2025.
Yeah.
But we've had those high numbers. Even in 2019, our economic impact was over 20 million. I don't know that everyone sees how we have that big of an economic impact. I mean, some of it's direct, some is indirect, of course.
Sure.
But our event has gotten so big and gotten such a large attendance from locals, from national visitors, from international visitors. And then you take into account the money that they're coming in to spend, hotel rooms, food, all of that stuff. And it makes a big positive impact on the city.
Yeah.
And it's even when I know these numbers, and even still it's like $24 million from our event that only lasts a week.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling, at least for me. I don't know about anyone else, but
That's insane. Yes.
Yeah, that's incredible, and I appreciate you sharing that as well. As we kind of zoom out of ECSC, I definitely want to still touch on some of the other things that you all have going on too, because it's after that it's a week-long event. Most people just see the setup, right, and then it's like where did you guys go? Or it can feel that way, right, if you're not as forward-facing. But you guys have mentioned the Christmas shopping tour already. I'd love to hear more about the First Citizen of Virginia Beach program.
Sure.
I'd love to hear more about that. Maybe start with you, Sean.
So yeah, the First Citizen, I actually attended it, the first time I attended was 2 years ago, but the past couple of years it's been crazy. It's been growing bigger and bigger. This year it's going to be even huge. We're going to have over 500 people attending it.
Wow.
And it happened. And one of the cool things is I believe 2 years ago is when we started. We actually now can offer a scholarship to Regent University. They helped us out with that. And that's one of the incredible things is that we've done it so many different places. Last year we actually changed the theme a little bit. It's usually a business theme. Business theme is a gala. Last year we actually had to adapt, and we actually had the sports center down by the beach, and we actually had just a jersey party, tailgate party. So it was incredible. It was fun. This year we're actually going back to the gala side because we just want to do that.
it's the call of the First Citizen.
It's called the First Citizen to whoever we have. This year it's Taylor Franklin, and he wants to do the business side, so we're going to be doing that. And it's just a great event. And I want to talk about another event that we have too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one of the things that Virginia Beach, and I'm proud of, is the Flame of Hope. So we have a monument on Oceana that we help fund. We actually had the flame lit 2 years ago, if I'm correct.
It finally got relit
Lit last year, right?
last year.
So
Yeah.
it was not lit for a couple of years, but we finally got back to lit. And it's a POW monument. So, and mission and action. So it's just for the military, and how this community is so big on military that this is one of the aspects that we do is to help them out.
Yeah, most definitely. One of the things that I learned about as I was learning more about Virginia, as I was living here and kind of learning more about the area, was just the marriage between the military and the city. Right after World War II, it's kind of like, hey, it's kind of heading towards peace times, but they're like, we'd like you to stick around. Let's figure out how to make this work too. And it's now one of the driving economic forces, in addition to tourism, here in Virginia Beach, that sustains the lifestyle and the benefits and the that we get here.
Yeah, I mean, the Hampton Roads area, if I remember correctly, is like the biggest military complex in the world because of the number of bases and in turn the number of active military personnel.
Sure,
But then on top of that, you have the ones who come and are like, it's really nice here. I'm just going to stay. And so then they retire, or even if they just didn't necessarily retire, but they leave active service. So we have tons of military ties throughout. So we should absolutely be doing things for those members. Yeah. And the Flame of Hope is one that is, that was originally built in the early 1970s, late 1960s, I believe, somewhere right in there.
Okay.
And it was, the drive was initiated by some of those military wives whose spouses were missing in action or were, prisoners of war. And again, it was another situation where the Jaycees, had some skills and some connections and were able to help out. And so we helped out with getting everything built and coordinated. And we kind of took it on as to the care of that property. So we work with the Navy and coordinate with the Navy to make sure that we can take care of that property, that it looks good, and that it really is worthy of what that monument represents, and those people that are still POWs and MIAs.
Yeah. You guys are awesome for doing that, and thank you so much for coming on today and sharing that story. As we wrap up the conversation, I'd love to hear from both of you guys. We'll start with you, Sean. After your time with the Jaycees, what does positive change mean to you now compared to when you first joined?
Wow. So so I first joined in 2008. So I'm going to use me example, positive change. Like when I first joined, I was just the quiet person. I was the person that my first meeting that I did in the parental school, I just sat in the corner, did not speak. And one of the words that rang into me was, I was like, hey, I have a suggestion for a project. And the chapter president said, make it happen. I was like, what? What are you doing? No, I don't want to do that. So I was freaking out. And the first thing I tried to do, I actually bombed completely. So I was like, okay. All right. So one of the things about the Jaycees is that it builds you up. It helps you actually achieve it. Like I would have never thought that I was going to do what I'm doing now. Like joining back Virginia Beach, I was like, oh, I'm not going to be state president. I was just state president last year. I was like, oh, hey, chapter president. I was like, what? I was like, okay, I'm chapter president this year. And one thing that I can say now is I'm actually running for the national office next year. I'll be a national vice president. So I'm running for that. So like just that using the inner yourself and believing in yourself that you can actually do whatever you set yourself to.
Wow. Good for you, man. That's
Yeah.
awesome. What about for you, Lisa?
I mean, I could actually, build on that and that to an extent for myself, but just in general, again, especially with our chapter, at least, that we do offer that safety net that if you want to learn something or you don't feel you've got the skills for something that you'd like to, one of the big examples I like to use is the marketing part. We give you that safety net. We're going to try everything we can as a chapter, as an organization, as a membership to help you succeed. And of course, if you succeed, or even, if you don't necessarily succeed well, but we help you kind of conceptualize it as a learning opportunity so that you can continue to develop that skill that, that helps you build your self-esteem, that helps you kind of feel more confident about what you're doing. And it can create a lot of positive change. When I joined the organization in 2018, did I have a lot of plans? I mean, I had a couple. One of them was ECSC chair. I got that one done in 2021. But I wouldn't have had the confidence to do some of the things I've done since then, like becoming the president of VBJC's Charities, if I hadn't built up my self-confidence with the skills that I learned and through the opportunities that I had in the chapter before that. So it's a lot of, and it kind of continues on. It's almost like a ripple effect, if you will, because that, you get yourself built up and you start to do things and you notice that you're making a positive change, and that kind of just continues beyond you more than you may even realize at times. It just keeps going.
Yeah. Sean, if you could talk to your younger self or a young professional that maybe is kind of in your shoes when you first started, what would you want them to know about leadership, even if they don't see themselves as a leader in that moment?
Just believe in yourself. Like, you can do what you achieve, and you also can count on others to help you out, because you will count on the right people to help you, and you can achieve whatever you want.
Yeah. Lisa, I'm curious, what would you say as we kind of wrap up the conversation today, to an experienced business leader who has the resources, now the knowledge through the podcast or wherever they found Virginia Beach Jaycees, and they have the relationships, but they've not found a place yet to give back?
The Virginia Beach Jaycees, VBJC's Charities, like we would love to partner up with those businesses, because we can offer, if you have team members, employees that you really see potential in, we can help them develop that potential. We can help them become better versions of themselves and better help not just your company, but honestly, like the world, the globe, our community, all of it, which can help you as a business owner. You have more confident and stronger team members. It helps you. But also, if it were to be specifically the economic aspect of it, you want to make a difference in the community and you're not really sure where or how. We have a lot of events and things throughout the community that we can at least provide you information on. And I'm a big advocate of making sure that you're as educated as possible, because even if you were to decide that maybe it's not one of our projects, you might know someone that's a better fit for our project. But we want to just make sure that you have the opportunity to make whatever impact it is you're wanting to make.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, with that said, Sean, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. We'll have everything linked below in the description. Guys, if you're watching, if you're listening, go out there, go check out Virginia Beach Jaycees and all the cool stuff, all those keywords that we mentioned that you may have forgot about or I didn't pronounce correctly. Just go check the link in the description. Love to encourage you to check it out. And of course, be on the lookout for the interview with ECSC coming up here shortly. And until next time, go out and discover Virginia. We'll see you on the next episode very soon.
We need you. Please don't hurt yourself.
Like I didn't.
Sorry, you rolling? I should have checked before. Okay. Hey. Hold it. Nice. And we are back for part 2, covering all things ECSC. And to make sure we get the record straight and tell you about one of the longest running and largest Virginia Beach events ever, we have joining us today Lindsey Peard, 64th Coastal Edge East Coast Surfing Championships Chairwoman, and Lisa Agosto, President of Virginia Beach Jaycees Charities and Executive Assistant to Upward Spiral Management. Lisa, Lindsey, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. We're covering something today that the average attendee might not know about, and it's the entire production and organization behind the ECSC, the East Coast Surf Championship. I'm curious, what is the one thing happening behind the scenes that the average attendee would never realize unless you pointed it out to them about this event?
Yeah, so the East Coast Surfing Championships is actually man-powered 99% by volunteers. So the entire crew on the beach is all volunteer hours donated from people, companies, and whatnot to be able to run this. And we're also completely funded. Well, not completely, should never say that, but we are funded by sponsorships also. So we work all year long, not just a year, it takes multiple years to generate all the funds that we do have from sponsors and continuous sponsors that come in. But my favorite part is to tell everyone that it's, man-powered by volunteers.
I love that. Man-powered, woman-powered, local focused,
Yeah.
and local led and built. What about for you, Lisa?
How much I mean, like, absolutely, the Jaycees and the people power is definitely a big thing that I don't think people realize, but also just how much planning goes into it. The event ends, and within a week, the general manager and his team are already starting everything for the next year.
So it's basically like Christmas. So Santa gets off, December 26th, and then December 27th, back on it again.
Yep.
Okay.
That's about right, and
Yeah.
it is non-stop.
Yeah.
And it just ramps up. There's no slow period. It just an ongoing upward. Yeah.
Yeah. And a little bit of history for those of you catching up. So, including myself, I was learning about this. ECSC began in 1963 when members of Virginia Beach's surfing community approached the Virginia Beach Jaycees for help organizing and managing and just figuring out the logistical, things around an event. Because most of these were surfers and like, hey, we want to do this really cool event that had some ties to New York. And now they're like, we want to do it here. We want to do it in Virginia Beach, but we need your help. I would be curious to know from you all when you started getting plugged in with ECSC as well as the Jaycees, and what has been the most surprising part about the event as you've continued to work alongside these wonderful volunteers.
Yeah. So I moved back to Virginia Beach in 2013, and I realized quickly that I needed some friends.
As we all do.
Right.
As we all do.
It was just me and my dad. It kind of got, I was like, all right, some friendships. And so I joined the Jaycees and fell in love with volunteering. And then really, I think Lisa had said it earlier, met my now family, right? And so I got involved with volunteering through ECSC because I wanted the T-shirt. Yeah, it was like this iconic volunteer T-shirt you got at the end of the summer, and you just wanted to show off that you were there. And I was like, I have to have that T-shirt. So I started doing that, and then I found out the Jaycees were able to. Being a JC, you could be on a committee, and so I started with Miss ECSC. And I was the Miss ECSC director, and I did that for a number of years. And I tell you what, it comes with growth. I would be on stage in front of people, not used to speaking in public at all. I was very shy, and I would be on stage, and I'd be shaking, and the paper would be shaking, my voice would be so high pitched, and I was like, oh my God. So I went to the, I don't remember who the chairperson was at that time, but I was like, I can't do this. And they were like, well, you're gonna. And so I just had to power through it, right? And so I finally became this public speaker. I'm very confident in front of, I can't tell today. Apparently I haven't had enough coffee today. I'm not sure what my problem is. It's okay.
It's okay. It's really early.
Yeah, I mean, man. But yeah, so that's how I kind of got involved in doing that. And then I saw, okay, the next challenge is that I want to run this. And so me and two other girls, we co-chaired it 2 years ago. And we were what we call Tony's Angels. Tony Polino was our general manager. So we three co-chaired alongside of the leadership of Tony Polino. I'm so happy to have that. And I grew within that. And then the next year we co-chaired again because we just had so much fun, and we realized that we wanted the event to grow, and we wanted to be that growth. And so then following year, this year current, I turned 40 this year on the beach of ECSC. And so I was like, you know what? How do I do a send-off? I age out of the Jaycees and we'll move on to the next chapter of Jaycees. But what is my big send-off? And I was like, I'm going to do this by myself. And I just find that with so much growth, because if you had met me in 2013, that would never have been my mission. My mission would just have been to meet new people,
Sure.
And get out there. And so I'm happy that that's the growth pattern I went on.
Was there a moment for you, Lindsey, where you realized the ECSC was bigger than anything you had imagined it?
Yes.
When was that moment? Take us back to that moment.
It was when I was chairing and being that, and I was like, oh, we start in October. okay, yeah, okay, cool. Hit the ground
For an
running.
event that happens in
Yeah.
August the next year.
Yeah. And the amount of time spent and wanting to make sure it was a good full event and the dedication of hours I had to give, I realized as a person too, you want to help everyone, and that is who I am. I want to do all the things. I want to help all the people. I'm a yes person. Yes. And when I started co-chairing, I realized quickly that I can't also do all these other events. I can help you on the sidelines. I can do this, but I was also chairing the Christmas shopping tour. And I quickly realized, because I was like, 6 months in between, there's plenty of time to do it. Or 3 months in between. See, I already lost track of time in life with doing this. I realized quickly that I couldn't give everything I had into every single event. And I am either a 100% in or I have to be out, because
Sure.
I'm not a 50% type of person. So that's when I realized that this event is huge, because it takes a lot of my time, and being able to work very closely with the general manager, watching his involvement, his time spent, made me quickly realize that this is a huge event.
Yeah. Lisa, what about you? What was your first role in ECSC? And take us back to that moment you realized it was bigger than yourself.
So my very first ECSC was 2018. I had just become a member, I think the month before. And ECSC, if you remember, I'd mentioned in earlier when we were talking with Sean that it was a project that for my school that I needed to create.
Yeah.
So my degree is in graphic design. The assignment was to create an event poster for a local event, but you can't use like images. You had to imply with shape. And I came across the surf contest, and I was like, well, that can be really forgiving. An oval and overlaps rectangles. It's a surfboard. But through the learning and everything I learned about the Jaycees, I joined. So come August, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be on the beach. I didn't have a job at the time. I hadn't lived in Virginia Beach long at that point. So I had time, which I don't have nowadays. But I was on the beach a lot. I helped out under the volunteer tent with the volunteer coordinators. And that was 2018. By 2019, I was co-chairing the volunteers, was also in charge of banners, as well as I don't remember what else, something else. And 2020 during COVID, I was vice chair. And in 2021, I ended up chairing. And I will say, through that progression, you learn just how big it is, not just from the number of people, but the leadership side of it. Like how much leadership I kind of gradually took on, from strictly volunteer to leading departments to being the second in charge under the chair to chairing. It's even just being the vice chair to the chairman is a huge change in perspective of the size of the event, of the responsibilities of the chair, and what all comes with that. It's just, I think that's one of the big things people don't really understand is just the hours, the size, the scale, that just behind the scenes that is ECSC.
Yeah.
I also realized my committee, once I saw my committee grow and I was adding positions to the committee, I was like, oh wow, there's a lot going on. I think I have about a 30-person committee underneath of me with all the activations that we do on the beach.
Wow.
To be able to know that I can direct those and help mentor and leadership development within those committees as well.
Yeah. And then we're coming up on 64 years this year. Many events begin with this energy, this hype, this big promotional push from the city, but then they disappear after a few years or maybe even after a year or two. What has allowed the ECSC to continue for more than 6 decades now?
I think it's the passion. It's the passion of the Jaycees to want to throw an epic party on the beach. And for me, selfishly, it's the fact that I want us to maintain that title.
Yeah.
The longest continually ran surf contest in the world. We've beat out Australia. We've beat out other countries, continents. Like, that's huge, right? Yeah. And so selfishly, I think that that's part of the drive, is to want every year to throw a bigger, better party than we did the year before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say that's definitely a big part of it. But also just, I mean, and tied in with it, honestly, is the beginning of our event. Our event began with a group of people who wanted to do something for the community. And even as that community has changed, the members of the group have changed with it, but we still had that end goal of this give back, because that's what ECSC is ultimately, is it's the way the chapter gives back to the community for all of their support with our projects and our events and the things that we've done for the community. So this is our big kind of end of summer party blowout to say, hey, not just Virginia Beach, but Hampton Roads, thanks for the support. Let's go down, watch some surfers, watch some concerts, and have a good time.
Yeah. It definitely, like, as we talked about it more and just leading up to the interview, it seems like there's generations of families involved in a way that really nothing else exists like that in the community here for surfers and volunteers who grew up with it, who want to have this giant beach party. I'm curious if we could talk about the production side a little bit, because this is a massive feat. Yeah. Lindsey, as you mentioned, you had 30 people under you at one point. What does it take to transform the beach into this type of event? And I'll kind of like specifically ask, like, from the logistical standpoint, how many volunteers are like being put into this? Obviously it takes about a year. What are like the pitfalls, the challenges? Like, give it all to us. Like, what does this production look like?
Yeah, I think one of the best ways to show what our production looks like is what happened to us last year.
Yeah.
So last year we started build out. You start build out about a couple days, maybe a week before. Obviously planning and all that has been happening all year long. So build out of the beach, when we go from the jetty, which is First Street, all the way down to this year, pretty close to the pier. So that's 14 blocks of beach that we are covering. And so it starts a couple days before with the build out, making sure that, you know, the surf scaffolding is built and we have the right contractors in place and we have all the right things in place, right? So that's the first step.
That's like the first major step, is like the outline.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's make sure we have the map set, and we're still having the map kind of ebb and flow as of today. And so you'll get out on the beach and we build it. And so the first day of ECSC started on that Sunday. It was August 17th last year. Mm-hmm. And so we started that. We had a whole beach built out, everything. And then Hurricane Aaron decides to come through. And first we were a little excited, right? Because the swells and the surf, and oh my gosh, the running joke is that Virginia Beach, why do we have a surf competition here? We have no waves. Like, and it's a skill, right? Is that you can surf on no waves, is what I always like to say. But the surfers were so excited. We had from all over the world this year, because we had a World Surf League come in. And so the swells were going to be huge. Well, we got word from the city on Tuesday that we had to break down the entire beach. So we had to break down surf scaffolding. We had to fill holes. We had to break down stage. We were building a pool on the beach. We had to figure out how to maintain that pool. We had to break down the entire beach. And Wednesday is our vendor load-in day. And so that's where we have all of our vendors for our art walk come in, load up, set up all the things. Well, they couldn't come. And so we were closed all day Thursday. We got the beach tore down bare bones, nothing on the beach. We had Thursday off because that's when the hurricane actually came. Well, we didn't have it off, but you know, we had other things to do.
Sure.
And we had to rebuild the entire beach on Friday. And so we worked from sun up to the time the concerts launched at 4 p.m. So that include everything that takes about 2 weeks we did in less than 12 hours. And so what's so cool is watching the community. The community was like, nope, we're going to get this back up. The Jaycees were like, nope. We always joke that, the Jaycees, you get initiated at ECSC. We pivot, we adapt, we overcome, we make it happen no matter what it is. So even Hurricane Aaron didn't hurt us at all. And that, I think, I don't remember exactly your question, so I hope that I've answered it.
That's it. That's it right there. That's crazy. So it was the production process piece, because I understand too, like the world, I think it's the World Surf League. They've actually taken plays out of your playbook for how they do events.
Yes.
Internationally.
Yeah.
Would you like to speak more on that?
That was actually, that was my year as vice chair, so I was able to be a little bit more involved than most people were. So obviously during 2020 we have COVID going on, an international pandemic, something that our current generations haven't had to deal with, at least not in this magnitude. And it was like, okay, well, Virginia Beach Jaycees, do whatever it takes. How do we ensure that we can still have this? Our chairman that year was Tony Polino, who happens to also own a surf shop. So he's really in that surf community with this when it comes to city regulations and things. And he's like, okay, well, I'm getting this communication from the city on how I can safely run surf camp. And then he and the general manager at that time, George Alcaraz, the two of them coordinated together. And they were pulling, as things were opening up, what guidelines did these states and these places have in place? And they built an SOP from scratch based off what they were finding and what they were receiving from city, federal, everybody. And they built that SOP, and we used it for ECSC that year. And it was a very, very stringent, very strict kind of guideline. We had a very much smaller footprint. We weren't letting more than 50 people in the footprint at a time. We had 4 surfers in each heat. Each surfer had their own tent. Tents for each surfer were 10 feet apart. The scaffolding, which is where our judges sit, the judges were spaced out, 10 feet. Everyone was wearing face masks up in the surf scaffolding. We had people at the entrance and the exits checking, temperature and all that stuff. And we were able to hold the event and have no outbreaks or whatever of COVID from our event. And through his surfing connections, not just as a surf shop owner, but through ECSC as well, we had calls from WSL going, hey, how did y'all do that?
Yeah.
And so Tony and George communicated with them. They said, this is the SOP that we did. And turns out WSL was like, that's some good ideas. And they began using that for their international competitions during COVID. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's really, to me, it's kind of fascinating that they're both very humble about it. But
sure,
the fact that 2 Virginia Beach guys built this SOP, this procedure from scratch that got used by an internationally acclaimed company, and had been successful, because I don't think WSL even had any outbreaks from their events after using that SOP.
It's a solid flex, right?
Right?
Yeah,
Right?
it's a hallmark achievement. I'm curious for both of you. Lindsey, we'll throw this back over to you first. What has this experience been like for you, for teaching you about leadership, especially when there's, and sometimes no playbook for how to lead?
Right. First off, it taught me how much I loved to lead, and mentor, not just be a leader, but mentor those that are excited for their life to change, evolve, and grow. It's taught me, every day I still learn something new about myself today. I think that teaching me to mentor and teaching me to be able to be open to criticism, that was a big thing. If I don't know, I won't grow, is what I like to say. And so I welcome those conversations of, hey, this is how bad criticism, the good criticism, I love it. And I feed off of that. And so that's something that I think I have learned from this experience for sure.
For you, Lisa.
For me, it's been, I think it's always kind of been my leadership style, but I think my experiences as ECSC chair and just kind of other events with the Jaycees have really emphasized why it at least works for me. And that's that my leadership style is really based on the fact that, yes, I'm in charge, but I'm just leading. It really involves the whole team. So being good at not just taking feedback, but being open to ideas. Because how you might have this end result that you want, and you have this idea that I can just go A to B and that's it. But someone else may have a more creative or fun or interesting way to get to A to B that might cost less, might take less time, or might just have an end result that has, that looks better or is just cooler.
Yeah.
And if you're not open to those ideas, you could be missing opportunities. And so that for me has been kind of really my big thing, is learning that, or having it reconfirmed that just, be open to other people's ideas. Be open that, you're the leader and you make the end decision, but always, you have this team. Don't be afraid to lean on that team and to let them occasionally, take leads here and there as well, because honestly, that helps you build a stronger team, because now you're teaching them that you believe in them and they're getting to lead, and that really helps their self-confidence and their leadership development.
Yeah.
Did you get these questions beforehand?
No, I
Because
didn't.
I am very impressed with all of your answers.
I don't know. Lisa might have snagged my
I'm
iPad
like,
with some questions here, but
how
she's doing
you're
great.
just-
Yeah.
On a roll.
But I would say, like, one of my big things that I tried to, even though I'm no longer an active JC because I aged out, which always feels weird to say because you age out at only 40, but I mean, it is for leadership development for young adults, and I guess 40, it doesn't matter how old you are mentally, 40 is
How
getting on
old
up there.
mentally do you think you are?
About 16.
Okay.
But one of the big things that I really try to get them to understand is, just because you're leading, don't stop there. You should be training your replacement, because if you're not training your replacement, you're stunting your growth. You can't move on if there's not someone to take your spot after you.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like these leadership roles in our organization and our projects, I'm a big fan of, if you want to keep going, whether you know what that next point you want is, if you know you want to keep going, you should be training your replacement, because you can't move forward if there's no one to take your spot. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that for me is one of my biggest things that I harp on with the Jaycees.
Yeah, incredible. Now, I know the event has primarily been focused around surfing, but throughout the decades, it's kind of evolved into this, like you said, Lindsey, earlier, this beach party. Mm-hmm. Walk us through some of those hallmark events that have been added that help distinguish it from any other event happening around the world when it comes to surfing.
Yeah, so we started as a surf carnival, and they just wanted to surf and have fun and be recognized. And so that grew into, what else can you grow into it with? Concerts, and then skate. I don't have the exact timeline of when that happened, right? But from the decades I've been involved, skate came on. I started with, as a co-chair, I brought in Adaptive Beach Day, which is so near and dear to my heart, and excited to grow the, So Adaptive Beach Day, we partnered with a nonprofit organization here locally, Aid Another. And they're a great organization. We've actually hosted them a few times for the Christmas shopping tour. But they have clients, and they're not just kiddos. They're all ages with different ailments, whether it's autism or any other kind of special needs. And first I was like, well, let's just do an adaptive surf, right? Like, who doesn't want to learn to surf? And so the owner, Christine, she actually was like, so some of these clients actually are still getting used to touching sand and getting like
sensory kind of deal.
Yeah, the sensory aspect of it. And so I was like, okay. And so she was like, how about an adaptive beach day? And I was like, say less. So we started very small 3 years ago, just with a couple of her close clients of her nonprofit organization. And I say clients because I would say kiddos, but they're not just kiddos. So, and so we taught them the etiquette of beach. We taught them, what lifeguards do and why they do it, life jackets, how to put them on, how to put suntan lotion on, how to make sure that you're recognizing you need to be drinking water, you're out in the sun, when is too much, get under the tent, what is the sand, and then waves crashing on you, right? And feeling the water. And not every participant wanted to be in the water. They just wanted to play and build sandcastles. And so we started with volunteers getting in the sand with them and doing all that. And then last year it grew a little bit more, and this year it's going to keep growing a little bit more. Having surfers, retired surfers, people that are enjoyable to help teach those that don't know how to surf, get in the water with them and kind of like do that. So Adaptive Beach Day was one of my favorite things to bring. And then this year, I'm excited. We're going to bring in some like rolling skates, so inline and quads.
Okay, so quad skates.
Yeah. So bring in another level of wheels, right? So we already had skate, and we already have skateboard, right? So now we have rolling skate, and so super excited to add that on within our 5Ks and partnering with Coastal Edge to generate those. We have a skate 5K on the beach or on the boardwalk, which is really cool because the city didn't in the past. They have just now recently dropped the laws on the boardwalk of skating on the boardwalk.
They've been little sticklers on the bike path thing.
So Coastal Edge broke that barrier down by hosting this and celebrating the skate community.
Sure.
So we're so happy that they were able to do that. They brought in a triathlon that focuses on paddling out, running in the sand, and beach cruisers. And then another 5K that we have. So really just involving the community. And then most importantly, that our concerts are free. Like, come out, hang out, free time on the beach. Within our drink sponsors, them coming out and changing all different types of sponsorships we have with that to throw a different type of party. We have a game area to come hang out, toss some cornhole bags and whatever that might look like for you, but just enjoy the beach atmosphere. We are not just a festival that runs for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're running Sunday to Sunday.
Yeah.
So there's just so many different activations every single day.
I love that. So much more than a surfing event. And as we head towards the end of our conversation today, Lisa, I'd love to jump back over to you when it comes to the economic development and the benefit that it adds to the city overall. I understand from some recent stats, there's been some 50,000 visitors and approximately 16 to like $25 million range of economic development that has been curated throughout the years. Yep. Walk us through what that process has been like, and maybe firm up some of those numbers for me, because I understand it's quite substantial.
It really is, and those numbers are the ones that always kind of, even though I've been so involved in the event in different aspects, but like so in there for so many years, it still to me can be very mind-boggling. But yeah, so our event is a week long, Sunday to Sunday. But because of the number of people that we draw to the event, be it participants, athletes, vendors, sponsors, they, of course, when they come, they're spending money, and that leads to an economic impact in Virginia Beach. Sometimes, I don't know if that might not be something that occurs to most people. I know it didn't occur to me until we first brought it up, sure. I think, after the 2019 event. But that economic impact that we make is huge. For scale, I believe our return on the 2019 event, which was about $20 million,
wow.
Was the highest of all beach events that were recorded that year in that particular 2019 performa. And then also the event the following year, that following spring, which was the first Something in the Water that Pharrell brought. Our event in 2019 outperformed his first something in the water, which again is mind-boggling because, I mean, it's Pharrell, you know, like
Right.
he's got friends in high places,
Sure.
and we're just volunteers, you know, we're just a bunch of volunteers trying to do something for the community. But that number has grown, you know, when you think about the impact that it has on the community, not both direct and indirect. We're, you know, our event is, we're, you know, there's money going to the hotels for the, you know, room and board, there's restaurants, but also the jobs that come with that.
Sure.
You know, the people who work in those industries. So yeah, our third party gentleman did the report for us for the 2024 event, and our economic impact was over $24 million. So, and even just saying it, I'm just like, 24 million, that's a really big number.
Little old Jaycees did that.
Yeah, the Virginia Beach Jaycees, a group of,
Yeah.
you know, 20 to 40-year-olds volunteering on the beach, technically for more than a week, even though the main event is a week, producing $24 million of economic impact for the city of Virginia Beach is just astounding to me.
Yeah. And here we are back again,
Right.
2026.
Right?
Excited to do so.
Lindsey, would you mind signing off for us? Share with the audience where they can go to find more about the event and when it's coming up.
Yeah,
2026.
absolutely. So it's August 23rd through the 30th on the Virginia Beach oceanfront from First Street to average about the pier. But most of your activations and stuff will be in that 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 2nd First Street area. You can find all information on surfecsc.com. That will give you all the registrations for skate, surf, anything you need. Our link tree, our pit pass availability for our Pennywise concert, which is going to be epic and so much fun. And so you can also follow us on Facebook too at the Coastal Edge East Coast Surfing Championship page, and all socials as well.
Awesome. Lindsey, Lisa, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Well, thank
I know
you.
there's so much more to cover, but I think folks should just go check it out. Go
Yeah.
experience it, volunteer with the
Absolutely.
Jaycees, and make the most of discovering everything Virginia Beach has to offer, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you all so much for
No,
joining
thank
us.
you.